You are listening to a One Pint Stand, a Minnesota craft beer podcast that tells the stories of craft beer in Minnesota and beyond. So kick back, relax, and grab a cold one. The show starts now. Hello, my name is Dan Bobian, and I write, produce, and host a One Pint Stand. I'm ecstatic that you're listening. This episode of a One Pint Stand is brought to you by Lupulin Brewing Company, home of Minnesota's favorite hazy IPA, Hui. Known for world-class IPAs, their craft shines across every style. The award-winning Dortmunder Lager, the coveted Barrel God Imperial Stouts, fruity balanced sours like their Squizzle series, and upcoming Dragon's Yes. They're also the creators of Minnesota's favorite THC seltzer, Smazy, proving that whether it's beer or beyond, Lupulin delivers with creativity, consistency, and a whole lot of flavor. On this episode, I sit down with the CEO and brewers of Venn Brewing in their South Minneapolis taproom. Venn has been a waypoint for craft beer drinkers in search of quality beers encompassing a variety of craft beer styles for 8 years. Kyle, Ben, and Zach all share a commitment to community and passion for craft beer. This is a fantastic chat. If you happen to be a pint hoister or keg stander level supporter of the One Pint Stand Patreon, you get to hear a nice shout out to some pretty amazing craft beer mentors. So let's head out to the Venn Brewing Taproom for my chat with Kyle Sisko, Ben Michaels, and Zach Devon. Cheers. Welcome to another on-location episode of a One Pint Stand. I'm your host, Dan Bobian. Today, I'm at Venn Brewing in South Minneapolis, and I'm sitting down with Zach, Kyle, and Ben, and we're in the tap room. We just transitioned smoothly from coffee to beer, and I'm very excited that we're all sitting down. I'm a fan of your beer for a long time, and I love it when I can sit down and kind of hear the story.
Hell yeah. Welcome.
I'm just super pumped. Before we dive into the beer chat, can each of you introduce yourselves by saying your name, what your role is at Venn, and your favorite Venn beverage to drink?
Yeah, I'm Kyle Sisko. I'm the CEO and co-founding brewer, I guess, alongside Ben. I do a lot of things here, so CEO is just all-encompassing, I guess.
Yeah.
Favorite beer for me to drink is probably Venn Pils.
Yeah,
predictable, but
it's a good one.
Good standby.
I'm Zach Devon. I'm the taproom brewer here, so I handle all the small batch things these days. And I would say my favorite year-rounder would be Modify Lager, with my favorite one-off/seasonal being English Dark Mild.
Oh, I'm drinking that right now.
Yep.
It's delicious.
We have a lot in common.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm Ben Michaels. I'm the head brewer here at Venn. And I got to agree with Kyle. Mine is Venn Pils.
Great beers. So we've got lagers, we've got British-inspired beers. Just a great way to enjoy some time. I wanna know before we get into the whole Venn story. I want to know how did each of you kind of journey into craft beer?
Sure. Yeah. Should I start? I'll start.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of a long one. I guess the short and simple answer is homebrewing. I think that's where a lot of it starts for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was really bad at it for a long time, even though my friends told me it was good because it was free beer for them. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
But eventually I actually did get good at it, and I started winning awards and competitions and best of shows and stuff like that. Ultimately, probably the big prize as a homebrewer for me was brewing with Mike Hoops at Town Hall. I won best of show in a relatively small competition called the Minnesota Craft Beer Week competition. And the grand prize for that was scaling up the beer and brewing it with Mike Hoops, who at the time and still for me was an idol. He's kind of a god of Minnesota craft beer, in my opinion.
For sure.
So he was kind enough to enter that beer in the Great American Beer Festival Pro-Am competition, where it got to take a bronze medal home. So
holy crap.
Yeah, that was like, shit, maybe I got something here.
Yeah.
We can do something with this. And,
what year was this?
2010.
Okay. What beer was it? It
was a classic American Pilsner. Is like basically
holy shit.
Venn Pils, the beer that Ben and I are both huge fans of, is just a continued evolution of that beer. That started as a homebrew recipe.
That's really awesome. I've never heard that.
Yeah, a ton of fun.
Really
man.
Cool.
Yeah, so that was a huge honor to be able to hook up with Mike and have that experience with him. So I just continued brewing beer as a home brewer, being really enthusiastic and passionate about it. Got really involved in a local homebrew club, met a bunch of people that shared the same passion, and ultimately hooked up with another group of people through the homebrew club that wanted to open a brewery. This is a really long story, but I'll condense it as much as I can. Basically, they wanted to open the brewery, and they hired me as a brewer. We spun our wheels for a really long time trying to get the money together and find the real estate. It's like a chicken and the egg thing. Nobody wants to give you the money until you have the real estate, and nobody wants to give you the real estate until you have the money. So it was really hard, and we watched the local craft beer scene kind of blossom from nothing into pretty concentrated over the course of time while we were trying to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
And throughout that time, their lives evolved. They had kids, they got promotions, made professional developments, and ultimately, like, it was hard to put together. And D-Day came, and basically we reconciled with each other, and some people wanted out, and I wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
And by that point, we had already formulated Venn as the name. So I wasn't one of the founders originally. I was an employee of the company. And when they wanted out, and I had already put some money in, and I was originally an audio engineer by trade.
Okay.
God, and the story keeps unfolding, but I had met a guy named Steve Carlisle, who owned OC Mechanical, who basically built the Twin Cities breweries single-handedly. He's involved. OC Mechanical is involved in pretty much every brewery you can think of on the mechanical side. He would bring in the tanks and do all the glycol plumbing.
Okay.
The mechanical infrastructure, glycol chillers and steam systems and all that stuff. And Venn was going to hire Steve to do the construction for us when I was still the employee. And Steve and I just kind of kicked it off. He had had so much success building breweries around the Twin Cities that he decided to open his own. And as far as I know, he still owns it. It's called Wicked Wort in Robbinsdale.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I know that it was for sale for a while. I don't know if it ever sold. But anyway, Steve and I got to know each other through like a professional means and kind of hit it off. And he ended up needing a brewer at Wicked Wort. So at that point, I was still an audio engineer working at Minnesota Public Radio. Steve called me one day and said, I need a brewer to get the brewery open. You want to come do it? Knowing that I was going to be opening Venn. So I took him up on it. I left my job. I literally quit my day job to make it happen. And took another year and a half or so. By that point, I had taken Venn under my own umbrella with my wife, Connie.
Yep.
And ultimately found the money, found the real estate. Originally, the plan for Venn was to be much more like Insight, Indeed, Modest, a larger 30-barrel distribution brewery. But by the time we actually got our shit together, the landscape had changed quite a bit, and we ended up kind of embracing the Dangerous Man model, neighborhood, taproom, limited distribution. So the business plan evolved a bunch. But yeah, once all the ducks came in a row, I left Wicked Wort, and here we are.
And what year did this open? Did Venn
The
open?
tap room opened right at the end of 2017.
Okay.
Right before Christmas.
All right.
So we just had our 8th anniversary.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was shortly after the HomebrewCon was here, right?
Oh, God,
That was...
Probably.
Okay.
I've had a lot of beers since then.
Yes. Yes. Yes, we have. Okay. Interesting. Very cool. How about you?
So as far as craft beer goes, I think it really just came from a consumer angle initially for me. I was kind of fascinated by, if I had to point back to literally the beer that spawned my interest in craft beer, it was Bent Paddle Black, cold press black specifically, because I was a huge coffee drinker at the time, casual beer drinker at the time, wasn't really into it very much. After trying something that could express coffee flavor so well in such a clean beer, it kind of opened my eyes to like what it could be. It didn't just have to be these stuffy old German traditional things that I had come to associate with like craft brewing and such. So after having kind of my eyes open to that, I wound up eventually I started homebrewing in probably 2017 with my brother just a couple of times. He ended up having kids and adopting a kid, had twins and adopted his wife's kid. So his free time kind of evaporated and my interest never waned. So I ended up getting a job helping the liquor store on Bibulus in Northeast open.
Oh, yeah.
So I was
It's
of
an
the
awesome
original
bottle
brew.
shop for anybody that hasn't been there.
Yep.
Still is.
Fantastic.
Huge shout outs, honestly. Legitimately, like as far as local selection goes, still the best in the state as far as I've been to.
Really fresh inventory too. They rotate through it. Like that's a good place. You're not going to find anything that's been hanging out on a shelf for too long there. That's the
Totally.
big thing about that place.
Yep, diligent about the quality and like day codes and things like that. And I was really, I felt very lucky and very appreciative of the fact that it definitely put me in touch with a lot of people already in the industry, on all sides of things too. You know, like ownership, production, bartenders, things like that. A lot of industry cats liked to shop there for, I mean, what I hope by now are obvious reasons. That coupled with being able to get single cans of everything was huge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. So as a result, I tend not to do things in half measures for the most part when it's my job. So I made sure to always try 90% or more of the stock coming in at like just to make sure I had a baseline for everything. And by exposing myself to a lot of that, it kind of invoked a lot more interest in like the science of brewing itself.
Sure.
And especially as brewers were coming through the store, the original owner was very open about like, you know, you can crack sample cans whenever you want, go for it. So I would often try to get brewers to stop and try whatever I had open and try to pick their brain about what they thought. Kyle was actually one of those brewers.
I was the delivery guy at the time.
Yeah, well, brewer /
Many
delivery
But
guy
that's how we
/
ran into
CEO.
each other. I was doing the drops at Ambibulous every week when we had, I don't know, a handful of accounts. It was
Yeah.
one of our earliest accounts.
Okay.
Yep, and I was super hyped to have them. It was like at the time I loved sours. Can't do those anymore. But at the time, you know, it was like a 9% alcohol sour that was clean as beans and full of delicious fruit flavor that nobody else could even touch with a 10-foot pole. It was like immediately fell in love with Venn. So yeah, a couple of years went by. COVID came around. The original owner didn't want to kind of take any precautions around COVID, and I didn't really think it was worth sticking around.
Sure.
So I bailed, and in the summer that followed, I actually had free time and money from unemployment for the first time in my entire adult life. So I finally had the capacity to really invest my time and my money and my attention into, you know, what was at the time a hobby and quickly blossomed into a full throttle passion. And, you know, I was doing it pretty quick and dirty, brewing a bag style in my terrible little shitty apartment's kitchen, sometimes in the backyard, having people over during COVID times, you know, distancing outside. We built a climbing wall in our backyard, so we would climb and
That's awesome.
yeah. We'd climb and I would brew and we'd, you know, pass beers around, finish off my home brew from before. And long story longer, fall of 2020 came around and I was starting to really feel like I was spinning my wheels, not getting jobs, you know, not really feeling inspired to do much of anything with regards to like specific professions or anything. And I got a call while I was out longboarding one day from a number I didn't recognize. And it was Kyle on the other side, just asking, hey, do you want a job? And I remember stopping dead in the middle of the road and just being like,
I'll take it.
I woke up from the concussion and but yeah, no, I took him up on it immediately. He said, you know, we got a spot on the canning line. You want to come put some beer into crowlers for us because, you know, taproom can't be open and all that. We got to switch to more of a distribution centric model for a little bit. So I jumped at the opportunity, started canning and kind of worked my way up to the bar for a little bit after that. And after a while of doing both of those things, Kyle and Ben both asked if I wanted to join back a house as like a cellarman, eventual brewer. And of course, I jumped on that. I was very, very ecstatic to have the opportunity. And frankly, it was something that I had wanted very, very much for probably like, not very long, like 2-3 years or something like that. But it was very much front of my mind. So there was a lot of adjustment when it came to like kind of getting what I wanted so soon, so fast.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of self-manifested it, dude. You got to give yourself a little bit of credit. It's
Agreed.
The times that I spent dropping beers off, it was like, oh shit, this guy's got the bug.
Yeah.
And it was palpable. So you know, you can teach people how to brew and how to do mechanical stuff, but you can't teach people the passion.
Yeah.
And
He's proverbially keeping us young as brewers with how into it he is.
Yeah. There's that. You know, I still got the bit of an old salty curmudgeon deep down where I'm like, lager beer is where it's at, right? You know, it's enough of these fruity whatever. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I'm just excited that people are excited about beer. It doesn't matter what it is. And like the process of it, the science of it, fermentation in general is just endlessly fascinating to me. The thing about craft brewing and brewing in general that really hooked me, besides the community itself, because goddamn, it is like the most supportive and cooperative community I have damn near ever been a part of, especially like professionally. That became apparent in the liquor store too, just seeing brewers talk to each other and just share what I thought would be secrets. But no, just open book. That was really compelling. But then, you know, with brewing, you can take it exactly as far as you want to. If you want to be like a casual, just banging it out in your kitchen using Kvike yeasts because you don't have fermentation temperature control, you can do that. You can make good beer. And to Kyle's point, you'll make a lot of friends happy just giving them free beer, you know?
Well, people are less tolerant than they were 10 years ago.
That's true.
That is true.
You know, if you want to fixate on it and you want to learn as much as humanly possible, you can spend the rest of your life and you will never spend a day not learning something.
Yeah.
Amen.
There's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much out there. Kyle, you said it perfectly. He had the bug. That passion, because teaching is the same way. You go into it because it's like a calling. You want to do something that you feel will enrich the lives of others. You're not going to get rich doing it.
Nope.
But there's something about that, like energy in the classroom, or I would imagine in the brew house, or when you're just hanging out and you hear somebody, you know, try a new beer that you made or a recipe that you developed and they're just absolutely blown away by it. That has to feel so good.
It's amazing.
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Super affirming.
Ben, tell me about your foray. You're like, oh, I accidentally used MapQuest and wound up at a job interview.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, here I am.
No, mine started, you know, much like these guys, home brewing. Not to the same pedigree that Kyle had. You know, he was a very accomplished home brewer. I dabbled. I was working as a motorcycle fabricator and chased my now wife out to Chicago in the mid-2000s and was working out there and just kind of unhappy with what I was doing. And I had made a bunch of friends that were in the brewing industry out there.
Okay.
And just kind of took some advice from them. It looked like a fun thing to do, right? So I talked with them. They kind of put me through the proper channels of what I needed to do to break into the industry. So I ended up going through the Siebel Institute in Chicago, which just happened to be living there. One of the best brewing schools in the world is in Chicago. Well, was in Chicago. They're moving to Canada now.
Can't really blame them.
Yeah, I can't blame them.
I would too if I could.
Yeah, that's right.
So I went through Siebel, took a job brewing at a brew pub on the south side of Chicago called Tribes Beer Company.
Okay.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Another one went down a few years ago.
Okay.
Worked with some great brewers out there. Made a ton of great. I think I was there for like the heyday of the golden age of Chicago breweries.
Yeah.
You know, I got to work with Revolution and Solomon and Goose Island and just, you know, all of the great breweries that are out there. Still have great friends at all those places. Then ended up we were thinking about starting a family, so we were talking about moving back to Minnesota.
Okay.
Ended up taking an interview with Surly. Became a brewer at Surly.
Okay.
Stayed there for a few years. And then actually was introduced to Kyle. I heard Kyle was opening up this place through a mutual friend of ours, Josh Denny, from Heavy Rotation.
Yeah.
He put me in touch with Kyle. Yeah.
Let's shout Josh out.
Let's shout Josh out.
Josh is such a cool person.
Fantastic
Super
guy.
nice. Super easy to talk to. I approached him a couple months ago I'm like, hey, could we ever do a collaboration beer? And he was just like, yes, let's do it. I'm like,
no hesitation.
That's so cool. And we were kicking around ideas about what to do. And he's like, well, it could be something like in the wintertime. I have a holiday party every year and I get a keg of Great Lakes Christmas Ale. And he's like, we could brew something along those lines. And so we landed on a Belgian Dark Strong. And it turned out so well. And the brew day was super fun. Went up there, and then Mahad came along to take some pictures and just hang out because they're all buddies. And, you know, it's really something when you bring up somebody's name and everybody has a good story about somebody. Mm-hmm. And that's everybody I run into. If they know Josh,
Yep.
nobody will say a bad thing about him. He's
just one of the greatest people that I've been lucky enough to kind of meet and get to know.
Yeah, I've actually known Josh for years. We went to high school
That's
together.
what he said.
Yeah. So he was actually working with Kyle at Wicked Wort before Kyle.
Yeah.
Yep. He was the assistant brewer, and when I left to get Venn off the ground, he became head brewer over there.
Yeah.
So
he, I wasn't necessarily looking for anything, I'll say, at the time. I was happy at Surly. But he said, hey, you should go talk to this guy because I think you guys will hit it off.
Yeah.
Came in and interviewed with Kyle, and it was like immediately, I'm like, this is going to work.
Totally.
Kyle sent me a message, I think, the following week and said, hey, we want you to come brew for Venn. And I think we started brewing, was it a few months before we opened up?
Okay.
Yep, we brewed 16 days in a row.
16 days in a row to get the tap lines full for opening day.
Okay.
So been with Venn since the very beginning.
Yep.
Yeah. Now Venn is kind of we're on Hiawatha. Okay. So 46th and Hiawatha, first level of this apartment building. This is a really nice place to be because you could just kind of meander up the road. You get to Northbound, you get to Arbiter, you go up to Town Hall. This is a really nice beer corridor. When people come to visit Minnesota, if they're looking for beer, they're like, well, hey, where should I go? Especially if they say, I don't have a ton of time, so give me a couple spots to go. I'm like, okay, Hiawatha.
Yeah, we have a wealth of good neighbors.
You're going to find
Wealth of good neighbors.
everything that you want. Just in an easy stretch. You'd be like, it's a lift ride there. You can walk between the two, hop on the light rail. Like, that's an easy thing. For people listening who have not been to Venn before, hoping there's not many, but if there are, describe this place. What can people expect to find at Venn?
Oh, God. Good beer. I take a lot of pride in the beers that we make. I can take credit for that initially, but I brew a tiny fraction of what we produce at this point, and so Zach and Ben get all the credit for that. We really opened this taproom to be neighborhood centric. We actually picked a location pretty simply by opening Google Maps and typing in brewery. And at that point in time, the only neighbor that was down here making any beer was Northbound. So it just seemed like an underserved market.
Yeah.
And it's right smack dab in the middle of a pretty dense residential, like single-family home residential area, rather than, downtown or condos and stuff like that. So the business model really became centric about serving the neighborhood in the taproom. Serving the neighborhood. We don't do a whole lot of events here. We don't want people's opportunity for conversation and social connection to be interrupted.
Yeah.
We don't close the taproom for private events. A lot of breweries can make a lot of money doing private events, and you'll see them on Saturdays and Sundays. Hey, heads up, we're closed this weekend. We don't do that, and we probably could make some more money doing it. But the goal is to have our door open to the community every day. Beyond that, I don't really know. Beer and community. I mean, it sounds cliche and predictable, but that's really what it boils down to.
I think that's the core of what this all is about is community. When we think about the beers on tap here, it's a really nice variety of different things. It's not, it's not going to be like just a couple things. It's got something for everyone, and then you add in the coffee. We had a nice cup of coffee before we started recording, so you could
shout out to Ezra on the coffee.
Yeah,
Ezra's killing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm biased here, but I legitimately like our coffee more than probably anybody else in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, and again, props to Ezra on that.
Huge.
I didn't know
props to
shit
Ezra.
about coffee.
Me neither.
And the whole coffee idea was Ezra's. He came to us from 5 Watt. Big
Watt.
Watt. I can never keep 5 Watt and Big Watt separate.
I love going to 5 Watt. It's just kind of like that perfect little kind of neighborhood coffee shop. I live over in St. Paul, but like I'll drive over there in the summer, probably at least once a week. And when I saw him bartending here, I was like, that's the guy from 5 Watt.
Can I digress on him for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
So he worked at 5 Watt and he worked his ass off and had no work-life balance at all. The owners demanded a lot of him, and he was on call 24/7 for pretty much anything. He physically built the place. He ran it. He is largely, I don't want to say entirely responsible for their success, but had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And he burned out. And one of our original employees who still works for us in the tap room, TJ Turner, shout out to TJ, he's awesome too. was a mutual friend, the mutual contact for Ezra, and TJ brought Ezra over here to get him a job that he didn't have to be completely consumed by.
Yeah.
And Ezra started here and succeeded in not being completely consumed by it for a little while. And eventually he saw the opportunity to do coffee here. And he basically just said, dude, your tap room's missing hours every day of opportunity to bring people in, to offer the experience you're looking for. And coffee would be a huge catalyst for that to happen. And if you would ever consider doing it, I want to be the coffee guy. I was like, fuck, okay. You're responsible for it then. And he took it. And that's the only reason that it exists, is because Ezra wanted to do it.
So something that sticks out to me is, as we've been talking so far, it's great to have employees with a lot of ambition and a lot of ideas, or people that who have a passion for something. It's another thing to be like, okay, I want you to have this thing. And I can tell you're going to take the ball and run with it. I don't know if this is unique to craft beer, but I know a lot of people that had a passion for craft beer. Bree Smith is a great example, the head brewer over at Modest. She didn't have any brewing training during, right before COVID, she applied for it was during COVID when Modest was doing beer delivery. She applied to do that. And then that job was going to be eliminated, but they saw that this person's really into this. Let's keep them. Let's
They had the bug.
Yeah, they had the bug.
Yeah.
And now here we are 5 years later. She's the head brewer and doing a great job.
Yep.
I don't know that every place has the people in the position to be able to be like, nope, I'm going to put my faith in this person because I can see that. I think that's special. I think that's really cool that you all do that and see that, because I don't think it happens everywhere. I think some people are like, well, no, you need 2 years experience. Sorry, but how do you get that experience?
Right.
How do you get that experience? So I think that says a lot about just the ethos of this place.
I don't want to downplay your point, because I completely agree with you, but I also want to counter it from a business and economic standpoint, because my experience as the owner and learning to have to be a people manager with a business that doesn't make a whole lot of money, working at a brewery is a cool job. And you don't have a huge salary that you can flash in front of people to entice them to bring their high degree of experience around. So it's almost like you have to capitalize on the bug.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if people are willing to do the cool job for the humble salaries that breweries can afford, it's a win-win situation from my experience and perspective.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Jumping off of that, though, I will say still that from what I have heard about some other businesses, including some other breweries, I feel like the success really lies with whoever is in charge of allowing that person with the bug to flourish. There are other breweries I've heard of where, someone was very, very much into it, wanted to stick around, wanted to get more involved, was not necessarily given the environment necessary for growth, and as a result either got bored or burned out or just lost interest for whatever other reason. I think that when there is management or leadership in general that is really pushing for growth of the individuals that work with them, speaking to Kyle's point, it's a win-win for sure, but that's where the sauce comes from, man.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that is working for Kyle. That's one of your strongest suits, is delegating responsibility to people.
Oh, shit. Thank you. I don't feel like that at all, but okay.
No, you do a great job at it.
You got better at it over the years, too.
You let people into these roles, and, everybody within our company has proved themselves to be worthy of the titles that they've taken on.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm grateful for that.
I don't think many people love being micromanaged.
Yeah.
And so that's a nice thing. But yeah, if that's a perfect segue into the next thing. So we're here at the tap room. You've got the 7-barrel tap room brew house. Now we just Ben, you were nice enough to give me a tour of the production space.
Yeah.
Which is over in St. Paul, shared production space with Dual Citizen. That's where a lot of the beer is made. That's the 30-barrel brew house.
Yeah, by volume, definitely.
By volume. And I was really just fascinated to see how huge that area is. The walk-in cooler. Wow.
It's my favorite part of the building.
Yeah.
That's a really awesome space. And you were saying that you do about 2,400 barrels?
I think we did. Yeah,
out of
I
there?
did the math on
Yeah,
it the other day. I
that's
think it was
probably about right.
Okay.
24
Yeah, we did 3. We're I mean, I guess it is the new year now. I haven't done the math yet because it's only January 2.
Right.
I did it the other day, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, we were looking at about 3,000 total.
3,000 total for beer, and then you put
And
about
THC.
Another, I think it was about 3,600 with THC.
Yeah. Which is that's a lot of beer. And I'm like, Ben, how many people are here with you? You're just me. I'm like, wow,
Yeah, dude, these two guys crank out
that's crazy.
a shitload.
Yeah.
It's, the efficiency of this brew staff is pretty outstanding.
Yeah.
Huge shout outs to packaging crew Rob and Will too.
Yep.
Yeah,
For
they're
sure, we
fantastic.
could not do this shit without them.
Yep.
They are
We're giving them more than they can handle all the time, and they step up.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Godsends.
packaging crew never gets enough love, and
For sure.
they are critical,
yeah.
a critical component to the whole thing working.
If I had to do what I do now plus half of what they do, I would be losing my mind. Like they are mechanics at all times,
Yep.
on top of, beer scientists.
Will is
essentially.
literally in the back troubleshooting a GFCI amperage issue right now. GFCI breakers keep tripping, and there's some component on the canning line that is creeping up in ground fault.
Okay.
And he's got wires hanging out and an amp meter wrapped around the ground component of the circuit, and there's so much more that goes into putting beer in a can than people are aware of.
Yeah.
It is a largely thankless job,
Yep.
and it is critical to operation.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. If your packaging is flawed, that's not good.
Yeah, your beer
at all.
sucks.
No,
Then
you
it's
could
the-
put in
Right.
a month of work to have everything go down the drain.
Right.
at the last
Right.
second.
Sorry, we derailed your question, dude.
Oh no, that's
No?
This is the perfect conversation. This
Cool.
is how this goes. I love it when it just like we're meandering. So you have a lot of beers. When I think of Venn, I personally I love your lagers.
Thank you.
When Venn Pills is
That's
on,
the
I always
ultimate
have
compliment.
That's what we hang our hats
that.
on.
And the Vienna Lager is great. I'm really partial to this. English Dark Mild is good.
Props to Zach on that.
Way to go,
Scottish.
Zach.
What is it called? The Groundskeeper.
The groundskeeper.
The Groundskeeper, that's a good one. I also like you. I cannot. The name is escaping me, but it's like a kind of a Mexican chocolate stout.
Oh yeah.
With like a little bit of a.
El Diablo Picante.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't done that in a
I was
while.
going to say, I don't think we did that
Yeah.
one this year.
We
No.
did not.
Oh yeah, I've had it.
Still time.
Yeah, in the past, and I just think it's nice as somebody who really appreciates every style that you can come in here and find a wide variety of things. So Kyle, you've got homebrewing background. Zach, you've got a homebrewing back. You all are homebrewers, have homebrewing backgrounds. I think people get into homebrewing because they were at the time they were either not impressed with the options available when you start going down the rabbit hole, learning about different styles. Like you said, your mind is piqued, your interest is piqued, and you can just continue learning as far down the rabbit hole as you want to go. I think this tap list is like a homebrewer's dream. You can come in and find so many different things. And yes, you have your kind of go-tos, your mainstays, but I like it when I can come in and be surprised, like, oh, this is on. I had this maybe a year ago, and I really liked it. So it seems like you do a nice job of rotating through. And then we were at the production facility, and I saw in the walk-in cooler, the Montana of walk-in coolers, all the seltzers, the THC seltzers, and I want to talk about that too because I think here we are in the first week of 2026. Drinking habits have changed,
Sure
and
have.
evolved, and I think I've dipped my toe in the pool of the THC seltzers, and I will say, and a lot of other people in the industry will say that yours, from a quality standpoint, really differentiate themselves pretty well from the others. Ben was saying you use a lot of like natural ingredients, real fruit. You're not just like, in 2019, I went to WeldWorks in Greeley, Colorado, and I had been talking to another brewer earlier on in my trip, And he's like, there's a brewery, I'm not going to say it, but like you go in their storeroom and it's all just those like syrups that you find at a coffee shop with flavorings. And like they were giving me a tour and walked by this room. I'm like, this is the place of the syrups. I'm going to get the Beatus. And so that was, don't tell Wilford Brimley. He's going to want to burn this place down. It'd be awful. But, you know, there's something to be said for natural ingredients. I was just down at
Expensive.
Yeah,
Expensive is what it's called.
Expensive is the word. Exactly right.
And we'll get into that because that's a big topic. But I think when you make that choice to do things the right way, put out a really quality product. I was telling Ben, I'm like, you know, these THCs are on the same line as your beers because when I talk to people, they're Venn quality. That's the first thing out of their mouth. Quality, which is what you want. And then, you know, great community and all that stuff. But if you don't have quality product, that's different. Now, like you said, comes at a cost. We were talking about just the overall cost of craft beer. I've had a lot of conversations in the past year with people. Is craft beer in danger of pricing people out? And how do you convince them? Because, you know, if you're in the liquor store, you know, you're getting beer, you're getting THC, you're getting whatever. It's like, it is by nature a luxury. Okay. So if I'm the consumer, I'm like, well, if I want something really good and memorable, it's going to cost a little bit extra. I know that. But like, how do we, as an industry, like convince people about the economics of that so that, because I think there is still this idea that if you have a tap room, you are printing money. And this is one of those times I wish this was a video podcast because your face when you did that was magnificent. Talk to me about kind of a thought process about the direction that you are going with your THC and the high quality and even down to the can. It looked like, you know, some places their cans are like the used car lot. Yours is like the Maserati dealership.
That's what we were going for, man. I appreciate that.
You got it.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the THC and the quality about that.
You guys want me to do this one or?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're all stoners. I'll start there. And the advent of THC as a beverage was like for me, was a fucking dream come true.
Never thought I would see this day.
Totally.
Never thought I'd force this side of it. Sure.
You know, we, for better or for worse, we have developed somewhat of a reputation for good sours. We have kind of a different take on them from a lot of people, and I can take some credit for the nature of the way we do it. So they're all 9% ABV. Cosmos is the name of the series. They're all super dry, super fruity, super sour, pretty boozy. I've got acid reflux issues, and I used to love sour beer.
Same.
So my theory was, fuck, if you're gonna have one sour beer, it might as well count.
It should pack a punch.
So we crank the ABV up on them.
Yeah, there Tums bag with me every podcast.
Yep. So Ben and I mean, one of the first 16 beers that Ben and I brewed was a raspberry Berliner, and I vividly remember looking at each other on the brew platform, and we were like, "This is style we have to fucking nail.
We got to nail this."
Yep. It's an important thing in the current craft beer climate. It's fruited sours, but also it was dear to my heart as a home brewer. And I'm sure Ben's as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was a totally different beer. I think it was 4 or 5%.
Yep.
It was pretty ordinary. But we set out a goal pretty early on to figure out the sour thing. We ferment them much drier than everybody else. They're drier than pretty much all beer. They're roughly as dry as wine, sometimes drier than wine.
Yeah.
And then they're back sweetened with fruit. So you end up with this kind of dichotomy of dry and sweet at the same time, and preserving the fruit sugar, and that being the primary source of sweetness in the beer really accentuates the expression of the fruit that we choose to use.
Okay.
And the dryness also accentuates the acidity from the lactobacillus. They go hand in hand, whereas fullness left from residual sugars unfermented by the yeast offset the acidity in the beer. So our sour beers are kind of like the warhead candy of sour beers. And if they're not for everybody, But for folks that like a lot of acidity, they're over the top, and that's intentionally what we're trying to do. They're over the top in terms of ABV and flavor and acidity, everything about it. So anyway, getting back to Zen, the THC stuff, it was kind of a natural progression for us to take something that we establish ourselves with and turn it into THC.
Yeah.
So all of these Zen flavors that we've got originally started as a Cosmosis beer.
Okay.
And we tried to originally brand them reflecting that symbiosis.
Sure.
So like Zen, we had Cosmosis Paloma, which is sour beer with grapefruit, lime, and sea salt. And we had a Zen Paloma with grapefruit, lime, and sea salt. And we tried to basically keep the template of the branding the same, but invert them so that they were clearly related to each other. But as time passed, it became increasingly apparent that those products were going to different markets and nobody gave a fuck about the symbiosis. So we eventually bailed on it.
Okay.
And we ended up with the Maserati branding you're talking about now, which looks nothing like
it's
it.
just very sleek and sharp. It just stands out.
And again, man, props to Ben Johnson, Ben Jayway, our graphic designer. He does all of our branding.
Okay.
Has since day one, we had a separate branding agency do the original Venn identity. But once we started packaging our beer, we started working with Ben Johnson.
Okay.
And he has just been a one home run hit after another with this guy.
Knocks it out of the park.
Yes, and we could not be more grateful to work with him.
Yeah.
I attribute all of our branding success to Ben. I mean, we gave him some direction, but it's almost like I don't need to finish my sentence anymore, and he knows what we want, what we're looking for.
I think he approaches his design the same way we approach beer. Simple is
Simplicity,
good. Simple is good.
Keep it as simple as possible. Yeah. Well, good point, dude.
Yeah, your branding is all just very clean.
Yep.
And I think it's the same as your beers. The beers are clean. It just, you can tell they're balanced. There's been a lot of thought put in. A lot of technique and procedures are obviously in place to make them just like come out the right way. That's impressive.
Thank you so much, dude.
Yeah.
So, we turned sour beer into THC. We wanted to basically make all the THC beer beverages cocktail-esque. There were so many companies doing seltzers, artificially flavored water, and there's a market for that. I don't want to diminish that. Zero carb, zero sugar, whatever, tastes like nothing. Not that great. LaCroix with THC in it. That market's saturated. And then there are, on the opposite end of the spectrum, there's a lot of people making soda with THC in it. Full sugar, full calories, just kind of over-the-top sweetness. So we really wanted to hit the middle ground in terms of sweetness and body and make them more sophisticated, something that adults will enjoy drinking. Enough sweetness to make them enjoyable and to preserve that perception of fresh fruit, which is sweet, but not so much that they're over the top.
Yeah, it's not cloying
and soda-like. Exactly. So, we were really just trying to go for mocktails effectively that were inspired by all the sour beers. That's where they came from.
What's the feedback been like from people?
Overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah. Good.
I hate to toot our own horn, but I don't know that I can think of one example where somebody said they didn't like it. And it was specifically about Zen Paloma, and coincidentally, we had just won an award in like the second biggest brewing competition with that. And I was like, you can not like it if you don't want to, but I'll just leave it at that.
We got all the affirmation we need.
Yeah. That's. I think. I think they're good. Like I said, I'm firmly in the beer camp. I don't know quite, for me, the THC thing is, it's not a thing I want to do socially. So that's like why I will have them at home from time to time.
No, I'm the same way.
But they are very good.
Thank you.
And just like, seems like there's a lot of thought put into them.
Yep.
Or like some of the ones I've had, like you said, it just seems like, hey, let's throw this together because everybody else is doing this. So we got to get in the game. And I don't know that ever is the right.
Well, and I missed a point that I think I should comment on too. Not only are the THC beverages that we make more expensive than the vast majority of what other people are making, because we're buying fruit puree.
Yeah.
All of them are made with some degree of real fruit. And with that comes a high degree of pulp, lots of solids that go into well, they don't actually go into solution, but they go into suspension in the product. And I don't expect most people who drink THC beverages to know this, but the THC emulsion that goes into the product is not actually water soluble. It doesn't dissolve in water. What's the word I'm looking for? Mixes in thoroughly. It disperses evenly.
Infuses?
Emulsifies?
Let's say it again.
Emulsifies?
Well, yeah, emulsification is combining fats because THC is fat soluble. And the intent is to make the fat soluble THC, quote unquote, water soluble. But that's not actually how it works.
Okay.
But it distributes very evenly. The emulsifications are very good. But they're not actually truly in solution. It's not like they dissolve in water. They're just evenly dispersed in water.
Okay.
And when you make a THC product that is just water and water-soluble things, and you end up with a tank that's completely full of liquid with no solids in it, it's very easy to put the THC in it and distribute it evenly, and then can the entire fucking tank and turn the whole thing into profit. It's actually extremely profitable to do it that way.
Okay.
But when you make it with fruit pulp and you introduce all of these solids, the THC sticks to all of those solids.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So we're hit with a double whammy of paying top dollar for real fruit, which in turn reduces the yield because you lose a bunch of liquid to the pulp in the tank, and you have to effectively separate them in order to get the THC into the liquid without it binding to the fruit pulp. So we chose the hardest fucking way to do it. And the most expensive way to do it, but always with quality in mind.
Yeah.
So
It usually takes suffering to make something good, right?
Yep.
That's right.
Well, when you break it down, we are a craft brewery. We approach these beverages the same way.
Yeah.
They're a craft beverage.
Quality first, yep.
And I think that's a good way to do it. And I think it's like, I mean, the smart consumer understands that if you want something quality, you have to pay a little bit extra for it. And we all do this. The things we spend money on, what we really like, we'll find a way to make it work. Like, I like coffee. I don't just I don't go to like regular coffee shops. I could, but I don't want to. Because like in this crazy hellscape of the world, I need something to look forward to. So it's like, I think that's an important thing. So like people should know that like when they are spending a little bit more money on Zen, they're going to be really happy they did because it's a very good product.
Thank you, ma'am.
So
I have one fun story I want to share about that. The way we learned that THC sticks to fruit pulp, because we had no idea.
So I mean, there was a staff party in 2018.
Unintentional staff party. Yes. So there, and when it comes to brewing beer, there's hundreds of years of brewing literature that you can study and learn how to do it. You can go to college for it. None of that exists in the THC spectrum.
Yeah.
It came around. Everybody's figuring out how to do it on their own by trial and error. And the first time we brewed blueberry lemonade, blueberry is an extremely pulpy fruit. When we were making THC to start, we just literally put everything in a tank in one shot, including the THC. And the first time we made blueberry lemonade, which has a very high concentration of fruit pulp, we just threw the THC in there, blended it up, let it settle, and we sent a sample. We dosed it for 10 milligrams per package. And we sent it off to the lab, and it came back at 0. And we're all scratching our heads like, where did it go? We know we put it in there. And we did it again, and we mixed everything back up, and it came back at like 2. And we were just sitting there scratching our heads like, we know it's in there. Why is this coming back at 0? And I don't know what caused us to think to do it, but we decided to dump some of the fruit pulp off the bottom of the tank, and we drank it.
Well, while Kyle was dumping out the bottom of the tank, I was walking past in the cellar, and he goes, "Hey, come here, try this." And he just takes a little bit of the mostly pulp at this point, puts it into a glass and hands it off to me. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, down the hatch, no problem. I don't mean to step on the story.
No, run with it, dude. This is the middle of our workday. It's probably like 11 a.m.
I'm in the middle of a brew.
Yep.
I have my boil kettle boiling. And so I drink this, not really thinking too much of it, especially because at the time, seltzers and edibles just didn't take in my system. Everyone's endocannabinoid system is very unique to them, and mine just didn't really seem to process ingested THC. And my tolerance for smoking was through the roof. So it just didn't even register on my system. I remember one time trying to stress test my system and had like 80 to 100 milligrams in a sitting and got nothing out of it. So I try this, and I'm thinking in my head, like, whatever, like, what's going to happen? And about a half hour, 45 minutes go by, and suddenly I'm feeling very pale and sweaty but cold. I was like standing up on the brew deck looking at my boiling kettle, and my eyes just kind of wander to the wall behind it, and I realize I've been staring for a minute. I'm like, oh shit, I think I'm really stoned right now.
Yeah, and so were you there too, Ben? I
was not there that day.
God, man, I don't know who all tried it, but we were all completely unable to do our jobs.
I still knocked out that batch, no problem.
Yeah, oh, God, dude. I remember like
it's
almost
to every
having a
one of
panic
us.
attack sitting in the office. There is such a thing as too high, and that was it.
Yeah, I will say that like I was uncomfortably stoned, very much so. I had to think through every part of my process 3 times before I would even put my hand onto the valve,
Yep.
But
So now we know.
That's good.
Yep.
Well, somebody had to do that
Yep.
experiment. I'm glad it was you guys.
I forgot to say too, ever since then, now I can register liquid THC.
We reset you, bro.
Legitimately.
there it is.
Like, you've heard of tolerance breaks, but this was breaking my tolerance.
This is
Like,
the THC equivalent of blowing in the Nintendo cartridge.
Yeah.
So it works now. We can play Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
straight up.
All right, I'm looking at some empty glasses. I feel like we could take a little break.
Yep, sure.
And then when we come back, I want to talk about kind of the economics of craft beer. This has been, so far, we're having a great time. I'm having a great time. We're at Venn Brewing, and we're just having a wonderful conversation with Kyle, Zach, and Ben. So we'll see you in the second half.
Well, it started as a one-night stand. I had 2 pints for a lonely hand. Bounced back like a rubber band. 4, 3 pints. Drank a fourth in a faraway land, but I couldn't make it as a single man. So I married me this beer right here. A pint, 1 pint stand.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you're enjoying a One Pint Stand. My aim is to help spread the word about craft beer. Enjoying craft beer is a passion of mine, and I love chatting about it with other people. A One Pint Stand has a goal of helping breweries tell their stories. I love to get out in and beyond Minnesota to visit breweries, beer bars, and meet other interesting craft beer people. If you're also into those things, you'll probably want to keep tabs on the show. So go ahead and follow a One Pint Stand on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, Mastodon. I also started a TikTok account because I was tired of Charles calling me a boomer for not having one. I would also appreciate any and all positive reviews on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to your podcasts to help make it easier for other craft beer listeners to find us. If you want to be a supporter of the podcast with some extra change that you find in your couch cushions, I have a Patreon. There are 3 different monthly levels of support, and they're priced at $1, $3, or $5 a month. Now, if you pledge at the $3 or $5 monthly level, you get some pretty cool perks. So go to patreon.com and search a One Pint Stand to check it out. We're up to 28 supporters, and I'm just really excited for what that means for the show. If you like reading about craft beer, check out my written work on aonepintstand.com. I love to write, and that's where you can find all my written content covering both the local craft beer happenings as well as my craft beer travels. I truly appreciate you listening and taking time to enjoy my stories. Now, before we get back to the show, I want to talk about this episode's sponsor, Lupulin Brewing Company. Lupulin's Big Beer Week is right around the corner. This year, they celebrate their 10th year of Big Beer Week. And they've got some pretty big things happening in addition to a horde of 65 big beers that will be released from Friday, March 6th through Sunday, March 15th. Yes, you heard that right. Big Beer Week is 10 days this year. You better do something nice for your liver in preparation for Big Beer Week. Juicy and bright triple IPAs, infusions created by Lupulin's own mad scientist Mike that span the flavor wheel of decadence, and the much anticipated Barrel God selections. Big Beer Week is not to be missed. Big Beer Week will be a tremendous celebration of high ABVs, fantastic flavors, and meaningful memories made in Big Lake's best watering hole, the Lupulin Tap Room. This year, they're adding an extra special VIP treatment. This includes VIP parking, reserved seating up on the mezzanine in the stave, a dedicated server so you can skip the lines, and much more. So check out their website for details and act fast to reserve your spot. Keep your eyes on Lupulin's social media for the special release days so that you don't miss out on the beers that you covet the most. You also might want to take some days off of work if you plan on getting your 10-day t-shirt. This is one of my favorite beer events of the year, and I know that the entire team, from the brew house to the bartenders, put in so much love and care to ensure that you're going to have a great time. So when you head up there, make sure you tell them that a One Pint Stand sent you.
How about a beer?
All right, we're back here for the second half of our interview at Venn Brewing, and I'm really having a fun time with Kyle, Zach, and Ben. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day.
Thank you, dude.
Thank you.
And I love being a part of trying to get the craft beer stories out there. And I just love it when I can sit down and just like enjoy hearing this. I really do. Really means a lot that you guys have had me in. So
It's our pleasure.
Been a long time coming.
yeah, and now I'm drinking this modified lager. Talk to me about this beer. It's absolutely delicious.
Zach is going to lead you through this one.
Yep.
Yeah, can do. So our good friend and general contractor who built both of our breweries,
The one and only.
the one and only James Lee, hell of a guy. Love that dude. He is deep into beer. He knows what's up about beer, and you can tell because he is the first to tell you that he doesn't know shit about beer. But that dude knows beer. Even if not on the production side, he knows good beer when he has one.
Bourbon more so.
Yep.
Definitely more so
Ooh.
bourbon for sure, but
Okay.
he's got a sharp palate. But anyway, we were shooting the shit, and at one point he floated the idea of like doing some kind of collab or something. We
Well,
were
this guy has built so many fucking cool things around town that he wanted an opportunity to have a product that kind of showcased his brand to
Yeah.
all of his projects. So he's built all these bars and restaurants.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the nature of why he came to us. Is that right?
that does ring a bell now that you bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I got so swept up in what he said next, which was basically what he wanted out of it. And he's just like, I want a hoppy lager with Cascade. And I was like,
And your eyes popped out of your head?
You're
Yeah.
goddamn
Yeah,
right.
if I remember correctly, I think this beer was created right around the time he was finishing Picnic in Linden Hills.
Yes, that sounds
Okay.
right.
That was the first account that this was on draft.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, he said you wanted a hoppy lager with Cascade. Cascade's my favorite hop. Lager's my favorite style to brew, obviously, unsurprisingly. So, we took the base to our Hellas lager and swapped a couple of things around. After a few batches, there were a couple of tweaks to the recipe, cutting Barca pills for regular pills, things like that, just to kind of let the hops shine more.
Drying it out, crisping it up.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry about that. All these words are doing some strange things to my body here.
Making it extra crispy, extra
Yes.
hoppy.
Oh, yeah.
But
Now say it slower. No.
So, he was clearly speaking my love language. So at that point, we made it happen, tried it out, and unsurprisingly, when it was done, we also spun this beer, so it's naturally carbonated, and we ferment it on American lager yeast just to kind of brighten things up, thin out the base slightly further, get the malts pulled back slightly further by comparison to our German house yeast strain, and really accentuate the citrus qualities of the Cascade hops and more of the just kind of bright liveliness of those hops.
Yeah, that yeast does a really outstanding job of brightening lagers up and letting hops do their thing, whereas the German lager yeast is much more balanced.
Much more balanced, yeah. So especially in a beer like this with all German malts going into it, I could very much see it kind of presenting too malty on a yeast like that.
Yep.
But as it is, it's bright, it's snappy, it's crisp, it's refreshing as all hell, and it tastes like fucking Cascade hops, man. So it's year-round, it's probably my favorite thing to drink. It's everything I like in a beer. Especially, I make a point of it to make sure that it's 100% naturally carbonated every single batch. No need to trim whatsoever with carbonation. Just to keep it spritzy and very highly carbonated while still presenting not too angular and not too, fizzy, Mm-hmm. The phrase that always sticks out in my mind that my dad would throw around is when he was drinking in the 80s or whatever, he was saying that the Canadians would call American beer chemical fizz from the forced carbonation. So
Save that in the log of beer names.
chemical fizz,
right.
there it is. That could be our new rice lager name.
Oh, yeah.
Something spritzy. Yeah, so, I want it to be at a high level of carbonation volume-wise, that's just kind of our house preference here, honestly, is a little bit
A little on
brighter.
the high side.
Yep. So higher volume of carbonation, but still presents a little bit rounder than artificial carbonation would. This is the last batch that you're drinking right now that is powered by Cascade Cryo hops.
Okay.
All future batches, including the one I just kegged on Monday, are actually hopped with T90 Cascades from B&D Hop Farms, which is actually the same hop farm that Sierra Nevada uses for Celebration every year. So if you've had this year's batch of Celebration, that lot of Cascade hops that they selected for this year's batch is literally the exact same lot that is now powering future batches of Mod Lager.
And I'll tell you what Zach had in the tank that just recently got kegged off tastes fantastic.
Yeah, I bet.
I have not been so excited for a beer in a very long time.
You go ahead and pat yourself on the back, buddy.
I intend to. Yeah, especially now powered on those new hops. It is, in my book, just a whole lot better than even the current iteration, and I was ecstatic about the current iteration. So very much looking forward to that. For all you turbo nerds out there, like, definitely keep your eyes peeled. I'm really hype on it.
And raise one to James Lee when you're drinking it.
For damn sure. Couldn't have done it without him.
Let's get a cheers.
Cheers for
Cheers,
James
boys.
Lee.
So yeah, great year round.
God, this is very, very, very good.
Thank you very much. We like to keep it light and crispy.
Yeah,
That's
it's so bright.
very
Like, that must be the citrus? I'm getting like
The yeast,
kind of like
man.
the lemony, kind of like
you
little
can put
hit.
Cascade hops. You could brew that exact same beer with a different yeast, and you get something completely different.
Very, very
It's Budweiser's yeast, which is kind of ironic.
Okay, yeah.
But we use it almost exclusively for really bright, crispy lagers.
Yeah.
That's what it does well. It's like Budweiser is missing the whole fucking point.
Yeah.
I don't know
will
what
say-
they're doing wrong because their yeast is a gold mine for certain styles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that, like, I could see it not translating well to, like, large-scale production. It is a little bit more finicky than any of the other yeast strains
It's
that
true.
I've used.
Yeah, the German
more
lager yeast that
particular.
we use is old reliable. It performs the exact
it's a
same way.
workhorse.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
use it over and over and over again. It does the exact same thing predictably every single time.
Yep.
And yeah, the American lager yeast is a little bit more finicky for sure.
Yep. Crop's a little lighter. Takes a few more generations to really get it robust. And you do have to. It took me a while to dial in the, like, kind of my schedule for ramping down temperature in order to capture enough natural carbonation to get it fully naturally carbonated. Because that yeast strain is also a little bit more prone to sulfur production, which you obviously don't want. You want, like, a touch of that little hint of a match strike in the very, very background if you're a very particular drinker, very astute, or have a very astute palate. But keeping that restrained while still kind of ramping things down steadily and slowly in such a way that it could maintain its natural carbonation.
It takes a steady hand.
Yeah, for sure. It took some dialing in. It took a number of batches to get it just right, but now it's, every single time like clockwork.
This is a real treat.
Thanks, dude.
That's
Thank you.
Yummy.
Yeah, very much a beer drinking beer. It's yellow and it's see-through and it's crispy and it's clear and it's hoppy. It's like, what more could you want?
Yeah. Kind of reminds me, like, the same reason I just absolutely love Ha Pills.
Oh, yeah.
Just down the road.
Yep. Love that beer.
Arbiter.
Fantastic
just
beer.
like that crisp, snappy, just really clean, just really dry. Like, just want to keep
Just
hammering
keeps going
away
down.
at it. I
Yep.
love
Again,
it.
shout out Aaron Herman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Huge shout outs to Aaron.
They're making awesome fucking beer.
Yep.
Yeah. I did a Patreon only episode with Aaron where I'm just like, I want to hear everything about this beer. Everything. So he and Patrick joined me, and they just, like, that's the crazy part. I think we mentioned it earlier. Like, you could tell another brewer, like, you could give them your recipe.
Oh, we couldn't brew Ha Pills if he told us how to do it.
There's no
He could hold our hands the
way
whole way and we wouldn't
you
do it.
could replicate it.
No.
And it's like those every brew house is different, every brewery is different. There's always a little variation in stuff, and that's where, like, I think that idea of, like, terroir, is very much apparent in craft brewing.
Yep.
That's a
And
real
I
thing.
think
yeah.
that's the fun part of it,
But as opposed to coming from the earth, it's coming from the people that are making it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
To paraphrase James Lee, actually going back to him, he was saying the real difference between craft beer and, like, how the wine scene and all that establishes senses of terroir is, like, with wine, it's the region, the dirt, soil, the growing season, whatever. With craft brewing, it's like you just look over, especially in a tap room like ours, you just look over the back wall and you see a guy up on the deck. You just see a person, like you see a human being putting their hands on that, throwing grain bags on their shoulder, things like that. And that's the difference.
It's that heaven with a D terroir that we're getting here. There it is. I found it. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, this beer. So this is yummy. I like this.
Yeah, and again, speaking back to the brightness, like that's that American lager yeast for sure. It's really good at accentuating brightness, American hop character, and in my limited experience with it, seemingly rice character as well. Mm-hmm. So going back to the Budweiser thing, I will say I think they touched on something with that, with accentuating rice character with like the couple of rice, or the one rice lager I've ever brewed on it. It really did put that rice up to the forefront and kind of like pulled back some of the richer characters of the malt and let some of those cooler flavors poke through a little bit more.
Yep.
I was out in Boise, Idaho this past summer, and I would say 85% of the breweries that I went to had a rice lager on. I think that's, they say like trends start on the coast and work their way in, but there is a market for that. And I would I just love it. I was not a huge fan of all the sweet, syrupy pastry stouts.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that I'm seeing more beer that I can see through, crispy, easy drinking, lower ABV because now I'm 46 years old and I can't just pound down stouts like I used to. The spirit is willing, but the liver is weak. So I like these. These are good. But rice lagers, think
as brewers, we couldn't be more grateful that that's the way the trends are going.
I love the craft lager resurgence that's happening right now.
For sure. Amazing. Beer is coming back. Beer-flavored beer is coming back.
Yep. And I think about, you guys, Arbiter, Town Hall for sure. Bad Weather. Yep. Waldman, like
Northbound.
Yep.
Yeah, that Captain Icebox.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. But there's so many. We're pretty lucky. When I travel for beer, I always feel really good about the Minnesota craft beer scene because when you go other places and you go, in my head, I'm like, okay, place for place. I think about all the places, like our beer scene can go toe to toe with any other beer scene in the country.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, we have a lot of talent here, and we were kind of later to the game than some of the other places, but I think because of that, there's a lot of you all that probably did some traveling and did a lot of, talking to people, doing a lot of research, and you kind of learned and were able to implement, whereas other places, there was a lot more trial and error. I feel like the beer scene here is really in a nice spot.
Thanks, Mike Hoops.
For real.
Yeah, it's so funny because a couple of years ago when they celebrated their 25th anniversary, they had a night where they brought all the people back who just brewed there, and they did like an alumni photo. And it was quite impressive.
That is a who's who.
Oh, it very much was.
That place has churned out some champions.
And holy cats, talking to him, he is. I call him the craft beer Yoda.
Yeah,
he will forget more about beer than most people will ever learn. And I always try to get information because I'm like, how do you do this magic? How do you make? Especially, I've interviewed him twice about his barrel aged event, and I'm like, can you just what?
He's from a different planet.
Just give me a little bit.
He'll give you a little bit.
I know. And it's so I'm like, just even when I say, well, okay, we're off the record now. So just tell, he's like he just, and that's part of his thing. But as far as people I love sitting down with and talking with, Mike is as humble as they come.
Yep.
And
totally.
I think there's, you were telling Zach, pat yourself on the back a little more. I mean, Mike needs to be, he should be more braggadocious than he is. And I think it's his Midwestern.
I don't know how often you hear praise of him from other people in your interviews.
All the time.
Put them all together and send him a clip, dude, so that people know how much we love him around town.
Yeah.
I go to Town Hall more than any other brewery.
Yeah.
Frankly.
He's so good and so kind. Just a great person, but a foundational piece of our craft beer scene.
Without a doubt.
And when I think about that, we're recording this on January 2nd, 2026. Craft beer is not in a great spot right now economically. And there are, this last year, it just seems like there's been, every couple weeks we hear about another brewery that's closing. Places are changing their models and trying to shift. The landscape is very uneven. It's like, whereas like in 2015, it was very solid. Like there was a lot of opportunity to open up, whether you wanted to be a tap room or whether you wanted to be a production facility. Now I don't know what is the right way. Like one of the
there
questions,
isn't one right now.
right? And so we just toured this your facility over that you share. You share the building with Dual Citizen, and Insight's got some things going on in there too. And I wonder if that's not something that more breweries, if they really want to be honest with themselves and they really want to kind of weather this storm that doesn't seem to be letting up, is that something that more places need to consider? Sharing space, pooling resources. Dual Citizen built that. They've got all sorts of bells and whistles in that brew house. And you said there's just a hose that runs, which is kind of funny. Summit has a hose, a pipeline from one to the other. And sometimes I feel like, going out there with my night vision goggles, just bringing a couple mugs and just like, doing kind of like a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible thing. But like, is that the thing? Earlier on in the summer, I interviewed Chip Walton. We were talking about the same thing. It's like, do breweries need to kind of like start trying to really think outside the box?
Yeah.
If they want to be here. Yeah. And I want to get your thoughts because, Kyle, initially you said, we want it to be like Insight, modest, go big. And you started off doing the taproom model. But now you've expanded. I mean, you're cranking out a large amount of beer. What have been some of the challenges, and what, when you put your heads together trying to come up with ways to circumvent and kind of stay open, stay, workable, whatever word you want to use.
Yeah.
Talk about that, because I think it's like, and I don't know that we can point to any one thing. I told Ben, I'm like, stupidly, I always read the comment sections when something like this happens. And it just shows me how off base a lot of people are in their assumptions that they're making. Yesterday I was scrolling and I saw that Waconia is closing.
Yeah.
And the owners are retiring, and I think they put it up for sale, but couldn't find a buyer. And the
tough time to sell a brewery.
Yes. Right, exactly. And I was looking at the comments, and like, it's just a litany of all sorts of like, people are blaming the Minnesota laws, it's hard to do business in Minnesota, the beer quality, the everything. And then there was people saying like, oh, I really like their beer. I haven't been there in a while. I'm like,
there's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I was at Spiral yesterday, and about a week ago, they put out a message that's like, hey, it's really hard right now. If you like a brewery, go there.
Yes.
Bring people. And we're on the, precipice of dry January, and that feels like it's like kicking somebody while they're down.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say, hey, if you need to do what's best for you physically, mentally, and take a break or reassess your relationship with alcohol, that's fine. I also think that when a brewery closes, it's not just a place that's producing a product that people buy. It's a community gathering spot. People are creating friendships, and they're creating memories here. This is important to the overall quality of life as human beings. Gen Z is not drinking, but they're also the loneliest generation out there. There's a great argument to be made for finding some
for
Gen
drinking.
Zer. Well, yeah,
that too.
Yeah, look outside, right?
bring them into the tap room. you know, you have coffee here. They don't have. You can come to Venn and you don't have to get a beer, but by entering the doors, you're going to be introduced to a great gathering spot. You're going to see all sorts of different types of people. You're going to meet people, and that's special. I don't want that to go away.
Yeah, none of us do, man. It's everything for us.
Yeah.
Breweries are a third space. This is what we talk to ad nauseum.
Yep.
They are a third space. I mean,
Yep.
And if you want to bring it back to a historical lens, I mean, that's where the American Revolution was born. It was in breweries.
Yep.
It was talks at breweries. And I think that in such times of socio-political and socioeconomic turmoil, having those spaces is essential. So I don't think there's any small coincidence that they're starting to dry up and disappear.
Yeah. Well, and I want to say the economic hardships that breweries are experiencing right now, I don't think I think it's hardly unique to breweries.
Yeah.
Right.
Restaurants as well, but it all actually stems, I think, from individuals. Everybody's cash strapped right now. I mean, the economy is just a tough one to live in. A lot of people are not getting raises after a long period of time like they should. And they have less money to spend. And craft beer is a premium product. And a lot of people, you know, when they have to look at their budgets and assess where they're going to spend their money and how to prioritize that, craft beer is one of the first things to go.
Right.
You got to feed yourself. You have to provide your family. You got to have shelter, all of the things. And craft beer is a luxury.
Yeah.
And so as much as it breaks all of our hearts for breweries to be closing, you know, I don't think it's like ill will, intentional ill will on behalf of the public. I think we're still valued by the public, but we're just the ones that get the brunt of it, unfortunately, because of the nature of the product. So as far as the economics of like future and the future of brewing, I think you hit the nail on the head that people have got to be creative.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for the arrangement that we came up with Dual Citizen. It's a very cool thing. I know you guys kind of alluded to it, but for listeners, we are in the same building. We have two separate spaces.
Yep.
Dual Citizen has a 4-vessel brew house, which has got a ton of capacity. You can churn out easily 15,000 barrels a year on that thing. And our two breweries combined are doing a small fraction of that.
Sure.
So we looked for a long time. Well, actually, I'm going to back it up even further because before that, we did another symbiotic relationship with Insight. Pretty commonly done in the brewing industry. It's called an alternating proprietorship. And that's effectively where, from a legal standpoint, on a given day or even multiple times within a given day, a different brewery owns the equipment.
Okay.
The alternating of proprietors, if you will.
Sure.
And the federal government was hip to this idea and allowed breweries to do it. When we approached the intersection of, or the fork in the road of having to decide whether or not we wanted to embark on distribution, I was really trepidatious about borrowing a shitload of money and embarking on the distribution game. It's not something I've ever been really enthusiastic about. So I sat down with our good friend Eric Schmidt from Insight, and I just wanted to pick his brain because he has long been an advocate of staying out of distribution. Bad relationships with distributors, the challenges, everything that comes along with it. It's a hard game to play. Yeah. And I sat down with him hoping he would talk me out of it and basically validate the way that I was feeling. And he actually said, we've got some extra capacity. Instead of you borrowing a bunch of money, why don't you test the waters? Why don't you move in with us? And they basically gave us 4 60-barrel fermenters of theirs. I mean, we paid them, so it was a win-win situation.
Yeah.
And Ben left the tap room and moved into Insight and worked at Insight full-time. That was when Zach became our full-time taproom brewer.
Okay.
And when I stopped brewing altogether because of all the fucking logistics that have to go into making something like that work. So we brewed out of there for, what, a year and a half?
I was there for all of 2023.
At least.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
And probably a little into 2024.
Yeah. Yep. So we got to dabble in distribution without taking on all of the risk of borrowing the money and building our own facility. We had an exit plan in case it didn't work.
Okay.
And throughout this duration of operating out of Insight, we proved the concept. It was like, oh, people do want our beer. Oh, people do know our brand.
Yeah.
We can probably make this work. The beer industry was still doing okay, at least at that point.
Yeah.
And once insights kind of started to take off, especially with the advent of THC and their development of Flavor Pixels, their brand of THC beverages, it became increasingly apparent that we were going to have to find our own place pretty soon.
Sure.
And so we started looking, and I spent a ton of time and energy trying to find a suitable alternative that wasn't going to potentially sink the ship. Risk averse, smart business. And it took a really long time to come up with anything. And the one and only James Lee of Modify Construction,
of course,
connected me with the guys at Dual Citizen. Again, he's at the centerpiece of he's the centerpiece of everything. And they had built a production facility. They had 18,000 square feet of a 30,000 square foot building still left. We took 9, leaving another 9. And we we struck an agreement to basically lease their brew house on a turn-by-turn basis. Yeah. So we make wort in their brew house, but we have our own cellar, our own canning line, our own dry storage, our own cold storage. Yeah. The only thing we share is the brew house. And we have 2 separate knockout hoses, one that goes to their cellar and one that goes to ours. And candidly, if we hadn't come up with that kind of arrangement, and also Kevin Filter, the guy who owns Dual Citizen, is a fucking gem of a human being. And has taken really good care of us. Good landlords are incredibly hard to find, and I don't know how we've had such good fortune, but Norm Pjornis, the landlord of our tap room, is the gold standard of a human being, and so is Kevin Filter. So I really appreciate those guys giving us all of the support that they've given us. If we had not found the arrangement that we've got, we would have gone out of business last winter. Purely. We had a couple, probably 2-month stretch where we barely made payroll.
Yeah.
And if we had to have the expense of buying and installing our own brew house, which at the time, there wasn't an abundance of used 30-barrel brew houses on the market.
Yeah.
Now there's a ton of them.
Now it's a little different.
Yeah, now it's a little different. But that would have probably been another $500,000 investment. And the financing of that $500,000 is about $5,000 or $6,000 a month. And that absolutely would have sank the ship.
Sure.
So, long answer to your short question. The only way to do something like that now is creative thinking and sharing of resources, in my opinion.
Well, I'm surprised we're not seeing more of this. What are what would be, I mean, obviously your specific situation just worked out really well. Why aren't more breweries exploring this? Because I know a lot of breweries that are not at full capacity. What's the holdup? What's the negative part? What's the scary part?
I guess from my perspective, the hardest thing to strike in terms of starting a business is the people you do it with. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the businesses in general, but breweries specifically in town have had lots of complications because the ownership team wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
That's hard enough as it is. It's at least as hard, if not even harder, to make it work with another brewery where you're sharing resources and you aren't aligned in the same goal.
That makes sense.
And even though it's a very symbiotic, industry with a lot of camaraderie and mutual support of everybody, we're still competition.
Yeah,
and everybody's got to fight for their piece of the pie, and things can go sour pretty quickly if you're not in bed with the right people.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I think you couple that with the inevitable scheduling headaches that come along with having 2 different companies sharing resources like that.
Yeah.
I know that's something, and I'm sure you could speak to it a lot more, Ben, but with experiences at Insight and Dual Citizen, just having to align your schedules alone is already pretty complicated, especially when you're talking all of the unknowns that crop up when it comes to brewing, Your delivery doesn't show up because it's a holiday. Now
canning line goes down.
Canning line
everything's
goes
fucked.
So many things.
I mean, there are so many issues that can come up, but like Kyle was alluding to, we've had a very symbiotic relationship with Dual Citizen. Everybody there is, very open-minded and flexible when it comes to scheduling things. We've had plenty of times where a brew day wasn't going to work for one reason or another for us.
Sure.
And they've been really cool with flipping days with us or
splitting days with us. They start early, we go late, vice versa.
Yeah.
That's the benefit of having a 4-vessel brew system is over there as well. Is if we do need to split a day, we can split a day.
You could do 4 turns in a day if you want to.
Yeah. Explain that. What do you mean by four-vessel brew system for people who don't know?
So at our tap room here, what we have is a combo mash lauter and a combo whirlpool kettle.
A 2-vessel.
So it's a 2-vessel system over here, which means that if you're, we do multiple turns in a day here, but it's not really designed to do that.
Okay.
With a 4-vessel system, we have
And a turn is making the amount of beer that the system is designed to
Right.
make. We have a 7-barrel system. One turn is 7 barrels.
one turn is 7
Sure.
barrels. So on the system at Dual Citizen, there is a mash mixer, and then a lauter ton, and then a kettle, and then a whirlpool.
Okay.
So it's designed to basically chase batch to batch to batch. So you can mash in the mash mixer, send it to the lauter ton, send from there to the kettle. As you're doing that, you can be mashing in the next batch of beer.
Okay.
You can
All right.
divide the
It's-
sequences of brewing amongst vessels instead of combining them into fewer.
So
Oh, sure.
You can have
Okay.
multiple batches going at the same time.
Yep. Okay. Well, that also that would also be complicated if you have to if there's a snafu in any one of those things, it could.
Everything has to line up.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, we've had that. It's tough to try to, if you're running with 2 different breweries, one brewery, it's tough enough to do that.
Yes, right.
If you have a first shift brewer and a second shift brewer, if something goes wrong in that first shift and the second shift guy shows up on time, his day is now
He's got
very
a long
Yeah.
day. Yep.
So we have to be very careful about communicating well with Dual Citizen and them communicating well with us if they're starting or we're starting.
I liken that to the argument I have with my wife. We have one really good TV, so when the twins are on, I'm like, hey, she's like, well, it's a 90-day fiancé, so I'm gonna go watch the shitty one. Oh, I need a alt prop for television purposes. If any of you listeners have that, slide into my DMs. That's it's so unique, and I just think that we're at a time when there's no such thing as a bad idea if it's gonna help, and I really, my hope is that people listening are inspired to hear stories like this. Stories of passion, stories of people who have gotten the bug for craft beer and have created a place where people can come and gather. I think it's necessary in any year. I feel like in this current climate in our country, people need places to come together, get off the keyboards, and come have face-to-face interactions, because I think we would find that whether we are diametrically opposed with how we vote, I think we also have a lot in common. And I think it's there's I know a lot of people that once you sit them around a table and you're having some laughs, you're having some beverages, it makes conversation a lot easier.
Yeah, you remove the gate from the barking dogs and all of a sudden they're friends.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great way of putting it.
So I just want to thank you all for having me in today. This has been a great conversation. Ben, thanks for showing me around the production facility. This has been really fun.
Hell yeah,
So
dude.
thank you so much. This has been another on-location episode of a One Pint Stand here at Venn Brewing. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
There are some podcast interviews that I walk away from a little gobsmacked because I had no idea I was in for such a treat of a conversation. Chatting with Kyle, Ben, and Zach was definitely one of those interviews. The incredible passion for doing what's really difficult is so inspiring to me. With roots in home brewing, they've all put their energy into creating a brewery that is for everyone. When I have friends come to visit, the first place I take them for a beer is Venn Brewing. Sure, it's 5 minutes away from the airport, but it's also a great way to set the bar for what visitors should expect out of our Minnesota craft beer scene, and that is liquid excellence. Now, I want to give a special thank you to Brad Ashton, Marcus Dodson, Chuck Dorsey, Vicky Epper, Daniel Fisher, Todd Fitzloff, Laura Fleischfresser, Dave Giefer, Matt Holton, Cable Lefto, Dave Long, Ben Michaels, Brent Newman, Bree Smith, Jesse Storms, Sarah Cry, Cal Vandehoof, and Brian Wu for being Kegstander level supporters of the One Pint Stand Patreon. You've all shown incredible generosity, and I'm grateful for it. Cheers to you all. Now, if you happen to be a pint hoister or Kegstander level supporter of the Patreon, hopefully you enjoyed hearing about the fantastic people that have mentored Kyle, Ben, and Zach along the way. I also want to thank the band Quirky for creating a nice little jingle for the podcast. I just love how it turned out and it adds such a great touch to the show. Thank you so much. Before we head out, I want to give a big thank you to our sponsor for this episode, Lupulin Brewing Company, where top-tier ingredients meet expert craft to create seriously good beer. Find them at your favorite craft beer spots or swing by their tap room in Big Lake. You can find them online at lupulinbrewing.com and follow Lupulin Brewing on social for all the latest pours and happenings. Remember to set aside some time to check out their Big Beer Week event that starts on Friday, March 6th and runs through Sunday, March 15th in the Big Lake Tap Room. When you stop in, tell the fine folks at Lupulin that you heard about them on a 1 Pint Stand. With that, this has been another episode of a 1 Pint Stand, a Minnesota craft beer podcast where the pants stay on, but the caps come off. Cheers. Okay.
Heaven with a D. Heaven with a D. Check, check.
That is going on a shirt. That's it.
It better be a sleeveless.
I think you need to put that on your delivery trucks. That's what that needs to be. It's